for the news.
All right. Okay, we got the recording going. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Super excited to be on here tonight to talk about GLP-1s. So I am excited that you're here. Thank you for showing up. I'm Jennifer Seven. I am a holistic nutritionist, a health coach. I am the owner of Seven Company Weight Loss. And if you guys wouldn't mind muting, that would be great. I have been helping people for the last 15 years get healthy, lose weight, live healthy lifestyle. And, GLP-1s are the talk of the town and have been for quite some time, but there is a lot to it. So we wanted to get some experts on board here tonight to tell you the facts about them, to tell you what they're all about, to tell you what not to be too concerned about, to debunk some myths, and to tell you really how to do it right. That's what it's all about. It can be done very successfully if it's done right. And there is a lot of chatter out there, and there's been a lot of negativity, but done properly, this can be a very valuable tool for you. So I'm recording this, so we will send the recording out to you all later, so you have it to reference. And then I did want to remind everyone, if this intrigues you, if you want to learn more about it, go back to the person that invited you to be here tonight. So again, welcome, welcome. I am going to introduce our first speaker tonight is Dr. Roy. And Dr. Roy is the medical director and owner of Nyan Medical. She is board certified in internal medicine, and she's actually working right now toward her certification through the American Board of Obesity Medicine with Columbia Cornell University. And she is amazing. She's an expert. She talks about aging in a healthier and a happier way. She also provides aesthetics. She works with hormone balancing and the GLP-1s. So with no further ado, I am going to turn it over to Dr. Roy. And I probably need to turn sharing over to you, right? Okay, I'm going to do that, I think. Hopefully that works. Tell me if it doesn't.
Yep. Can you see my screen?
It's coming. Yep.
All right. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Hopefully I'll be able to answer all of your questions. So I'm just going to go right into it. Okay. So the first thing I like to mention is, we're all born with two pathways. One is hunger and one is satiety. Our default is the hunger pathway. And the reason that has to be is because if you were born with the satiety pathway, you would never cry, you would never be fed, and you would not survive. So they both fire at different times. Some people end up firing their hunger pathway way more than their satiety pathway. And those are the people that just have a very hard time keeping weight off. Those people that fire that satiety pathway, those are the people that just have a hard time putting on weight. So when we talk about obesity, I first like to say to people,
happy to see you on the Mango Day. No.
I like to tell people that, a lot of the times it's not, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just your body working against you. And there's a lot of things that we can do to help move you in the right direction. So that's kind of why, some people can eat, burgers and fries and not put on anything. And some people eat salads all day long and they just can't get to where they want to go. And it's that hormone balance. So your hormones just are constantly working against you, and it's a constant uphill battle. But these GLP-1s have been revolutionary in weight loss. They've been amazing. And we will talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So first the next thing I want to talk about is diabetes. Why do we care about diabetes? We care about diabetes because diabetes is increasing worldwide. Diabetes is really tightly linked to obesity. So if we watch the trends of diabetes, then we're also seeing the trends of obesity. And you can see here in North America, 24%, and we're seeing a global increase by 46%. This is becoming a huge problem, not only for the healthcare system, but also just our general day-to-day lives. And as we age, we're having more and more issues. So when we watch this diabetes, we're thinking more obesity. And what does obesity cause? Obesity causes a multitude of problems. So it not only causes type 2 diabetes, it causes high cholesterol, it increases your risk for cancer, increases your risk for heart attacks, for strokes, Alzheimer's, mood disorders, reproductive issues. There are so many things that obesity can cause. But the great thing about it is if we take care of obesity and we bring down our BMI, we can actually reverse a lot of these problems. So that's huge. That's giving you a better life as you age. It's just improving your overall well-being. Oh. All right, so I did mention BMI. The problem with BMI is it's very dependent on what your background is. So if I were to tell you my BMI is 24.7 as of this morning, I would actually be considered overweight because I am Southeast Asian. But if I was American, I would actually be a normal body weight. And the reason is because depending on where you are from in the world, your body structure, your bone structure is very different. So BMI is really something that we use as a guide, but we also have to take into consideration where you're from. Is this going to be a healthy BMI for you? So I'm going to use myself as an example. In Southeast Asians, if your BMI is 23, you're at a higher risk of developing diabetes. That's why they want it to be a little bit lower. Again, our bone structure is smaller. Our muscle mass is much smaller. So you have to kind of look at the whole picture, and you can't just see what they're telling you. So right now, the guidelines are a BMI of 27 and above with a comorbid condition, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, qualifies you for a GLP1. But for certain people, if they're a lower BMI, they should qualify too. Sorry, I'm having an issue here. Let's talk about the GLP-1s and how they work. So the first thing that it does is it slows down your GI tract. So a small amount of food keeps you full for much longer. And I know there's a lot of people that have talked about their side effects of, oh my God, I'm so constipated. I'm so nauseous. Yeah, it can happen. It is a possibility, but the reason that they're getting constipated is everything slows down. So the movement of that food from the stomach to the small intestine to the large intestine is much, much slower. The nausea, typically the nausea is happening when you're eating late at night and then you're going to bed. Remember, that food is sitting there. Also, the nausea will happen as the doses are increased. Doesn't happen to everybody. I think I've been doing this for about three and a half years, and I've had one patient that's just been constantly nauseous. So the second way that it works is it turns off those cravings. So if you're craving chocolate chip cookies at nighttime, you just don't really want them anymore. They're not calling your name. They're when you do have them, half of a cookie is usually more than what you can handle. You just don't want it. It doesn't taste the same anymore. So that allows you to have the opportunity to make better choices. Because some patients, we do try and take them off of the medications once they've hit goal weight. Not everybody. But even the patients that do remain on the GLP-1s lifelong, because remember, obesity is a chronic problem, the food chatter comes back. That noise comes back. The cravings come back. So while your body is getting used to it, you really want to take that opportunity to work with a nutrition coach, figure out what is happening and how to replace our bad habits with those good habits. The third way that it works is it increases the sensitivity to insulin. So what that means is insulin has two jobs. One is to put sugar into a cell so the cell can function. The second one is to store fat. So if you ate that chocolate chip cookie and your sugar is trying to get into a cell to allow the sugar from that cookie is trying to get into a cell to allow that cell to function, it needs a key to get into the cell because the door is locked. So insulin is released. Insulin comes along and insulin has a key, but it's just not working. It doesn't open the door. And why that happens is yo-yo dieting. So, gaining weight, losing weight, eating highly ultra processed foods can cause insulin resistance. Stress can cause insulin resistance. There's a whole bunch of reasons why you would become resistant to insulin. So what happens is your body keeps releasing more and more insulin until the right one comes along with the right key to unlock the door. So the door unlocks, the sugar goes in, the cell is happy, it can now function, but now there's all this extra insulin sitting outside. What is it going to do? It's going to go and store fat. So let's take this scenario again, but now you're on a GLP-1. So the sugar's lined up outside of the cell, your body releases insulin. Insulin comes along. Now it has a master key. So the door opens, the sugar goes in. There's no insulin left over for fat storage. You're eating less because your GI tract is slowed down, and you're making better decisions because those cravings are turned off. So what happens is your body still needs energy. And I think I put the slide in the wrong spot. But so your body still needs energy. It's now going to turn to fat to burn for energy. And that's where you get your weight loss. Some people ask, well, do I have to take higher doses? It depends on your level of insulin resistance. Sometimes some people can get away with really low doses because their level of resistance has not started to climb as much. But I'm starting to notice there's some equations that we do. And it's called a HOMA-IR. As that number starts to climb, that means you're going to need more and more medication to kind of get you over that hump. So there's two types of GLP-1s. There is semaglutide, which is your Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic has been around for probably like 10, 15 years, I believe. And it was originally started to be used on diabetics. And then they found, hey, these people are losing a lot of weight. Let's rebrand and call it Wegovy. So that is what happened with Ozempic and Wegovy. They are both GLP-1s. Their generic name is semaglutide. There's also tirzepatide, which is also a GLP-1, but it also works on the GIP receptor. So they both work the exact same way, but semaglutide works on one receptor and tirzepatide works on two. The difference in the two is the amount of weight loss. So with semaglutide, you can see in this graph, you can get about 15 to 20% weight loss. I've actually had higher numbers. I've had actually more than 25% total body weight loss on some of my patients with semaglutide alone. Tirzepatide, those numbers are about 23 to 25% total body weight loss. But again, depending on the changes in lifestyle that you're making at home, you can get more if you are really sticking to a healthy lifestyle. Some of the things that it helps with, these GLP-1s are huge anti-inflammatories. So they are taking the pressure off of your heart. They're taking the pressure off of your brain. They are actually being researched right now for NASH, which is it's non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which is pretty much fatty liver. They're researching it because they're actually finding that it's reversing liver disease. It's helping with so many things. It's helping with cardiovascular issues. So it's really taking that inflammation out of the body, and especially in the gut, you're able to absorb your nutrients much better. And we'll talk about nutrients later. So why do we lose and then gain and then lose and then gain, and we just can't maintain? A lot of that has to do with hormones. You're constantly, as you're losing weight, your body is doing everything that it can do to make you go back up to your set point. Okay. So if you like to be at 180 pounds, or if your body likes to be at 180 pounds, if you drop to 170, it's going to push out those cravings. It's going to drop your body temperature. It's going to do a lot of things to just slow down. Now, let's say if you've been 180 pounds pretty much, for the last decade, and you go up to 190 because you go on a cruise. It's really easy to get back to that 180 because that's where your body likes to be. So there's that. There's genetic factors. There's environmental factors. There's a lot of things that go into why your body wants to keep that weight. That's where a lot of the coaching comes in. That's where the cravings are turned off. That's the opportunity that you can help improve or prevent your regain. One thing that I do really, really, really highly recommend. There's some places that on weight loss programs, they generally say, hey, don't lift weights. But this is the one time where I think all of us agree that resistance training is super important. With any weight loss plan, you're going to lose muscle. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But because with the GLP-1s, you lose weight much faster than you would with any other program, that resistance training is key. So in this, you can kind of see that your lean body mass that you lose with aerobic exercise during weight loss is much more than if you were to do resistance training alone. Your strength is going to increase if you're doing resistance training alone. The great thing about this is your bone density is going to improve with resistance training alone. You're not going to get that bone density with just cardio. So because you're losing the weight we want to make sure that you're maintaining your muscle, maintaining your strength, and maintaining your bone density as the whole process is happening. That way you don't, a lot of people say, well, what is skinny fat? What is sarcopenia? Sarcopenia is where you've lost so much muscle mass and all there is left is fat. That can happen on Ozempic or on semaglutide, these GLP-1s. That can happen if you are not doing it the right way. If you are not getting it from a reputable source, there was a lot of things about, counterfeit Ozempic coming through the country. So if you have to make sure that you're getting it from a reputable source. You have to make sure that, I tell all my patients, you need to see a trainer. You need to work out with a trainer. At least 1 to 3 days a week. I would love 3 days a week, but the reason is they all say Ozempic face and Ozempic butt, which is a flat butt and you look emaciated in the face, and that's because they're not eating right. They're not doing it the right way. You need a lot more protein on this diet. You need a lot more resistance training on this diet, but the results are amazing. The macronutrients, which I think we're going to talk about later. But what I wanted to just point out here is we all talk about macros. So there's protein, carbs, and fats. When your body turns to burning fat for energy, if you can see, you actually get 9 kilocalories of energy when you burn fat versus 4 from carbs and protein. So if you think about somebody that eats carbs and they don't eat for a few hours, they get hangry. Why? Because your body is now relying on those carbs to burn it for energy. If you become a fat burner, and what that means is that your body it very easily reverts to burning fat for energy. You don't get hangry. You don't feel irritable because now you're burning fat, but you're also getting the energy. So I've been noticing a lot with my patients that seem to get very exhausted on the GLP-1s. They're eating a lot of carbs. The ones that are not eating a lot of carbs, the ones that are getting their 100 to 125 grams of protein in, they actually don't complain of that decline in energy. So again, you need to talk to a nutritionist, make sure that all of this stuff is also managed well. So it's a very multifaceted approach to weight loss, but you need it if you're going to do it the right way. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Dr. Roy. And I'm happy to take
Thank
questions
you.
at the end, or you can put them in the chat and we'll try to catch those as we go along. But I just wanted to mention that starting on low doses, letting your body adjust, this can all help mitigate the side effects because a lot of it happens when you go up on dosing too fast. So going slow, eating right, getting your micronutrients in, all of that plays a part, a very important part. So you don't have to suffer by doing this. And the maintaining, that's probably one of the biggest concerns I hear of is worrying about losing muscle. And it doesn't have to be like that. So, doing your strength training, working out is really important. So put your questions in the chat. We'll circle back to those in a moment. But now I'd like to introduce to you Dr. Dolores Zimbardo. She is a chiropractor and nutritionist, and she studied biochemistry and nutrition in her undergraduate program. So she brings to us just a wealth of incredibly valuable information. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Zimbardo.
Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay. Awesome. I love that. Thank you, Dr. Roy. So good, this information, you guys. I'm going to chat a little bit. It's just going to a little bit deeper into a lot of what Dr. Roy said and what Jen just said about the importance of protein and exercising. And what I want to tell you guys is, I've been in the weight loss industry for 15 years, and I wasn't sure about this GLP-1 as a weight loss program. Like Dr. Roy said, these medications, some have been around 20 years. They are really relatively safe, and especially for diabetics. And so, but I wasn't sure about it, because of all the things probably you've heard is, the really drastic side effects, and then you see your friends losing weight and they don't look healthy. And so, there is a reason for that. But one of the reasons that I've partnered with Dr. Roy is that I think she really understands this fundamentally, and, really knows how to coach and help us to coach our clients through this transition. So I want to talk a little bit about, safety, how do you minimize the side effects, and really about the long-term effects of this. And so this is how to use this tool. I do want you to, again, I was sort of negative about this for weight loss because I thought, you're going to take this shot, this pill, whatever it is, you're going to get these results, and then you're going to stop and you're going to regain the weight. And that is true if you do it the normal way. But if you do this in a really thoughtful way with some coaching and counseling, this may very well be, I think, the last time you ever have to struggle with this. And Dr. Roy really believes in following, once you hit your weight, to follow you for that first year and figure out what works for you. So, so I'll just jump in here, but wanting you to know that I have completely changed my position on this. At first, I was kind of against it, but when I learned about really all the things that this does in the positive, this inflammation thing, you guys, what Dr. Roy just said, it's really a thing. So there's and also brain inflammation that includes the brain. So there's a lot of really good things that this medication does. It's not just weight loss. Although that's really good. Okay, so a good program is really going to be designed for long-term success, sustainable long-term success. And okay, the second part of this is my opinion, just coming out clean with that. But really, when you package it with science-based ketogenic eating, and we know now, and a lot of I've been involved with Idle Protein for many, many years, and I'm not pushing Idle Protein necessarily, although that is a very good program, but you can eat ketogenically on a whole foods program. But here's the thing, the most recent evidence is just really telling us this ketogenic way of eating is not going anywhere. There is more research on this way of eating and its effect on metabolic health and brain health, cognitive function, prevention of dementia, Alzheimer's, and all those things, than any other program out there. So I really am going to encourage any of you, wherever you do a program, that you really invest in finding a good keto, at least either ketogenic or what I call keto leaning program, right? Which is going to be more on the low carb side. And I do want to say a thing about this GLP-1 medication that a lot of people don't realize. We make that GLP-1 GLP stands for glucagon-like peptide. It's actually a peptide and a hormone that you actually make. And some people actually make a good amount of it. And those people are naturally thin people. Those are the people that go, yeah, I don't want to eat because I'm not hungry. They're the ones that are eating and halfway through, they're like, that's too much. I'm not going to eat anymore because then I'm going to be too full. You know those people? Right? So So it is something that you actually are making on your own. And the difference is with this medication, they changed one of the amino acids, and that makes it more of a synthetic one, but you're getting all the benefits. And, especially if you don't make it yourself. So, a good program, if you're going to be doing these medication, as everyone has just said, Jennifer and Dr. Roy, it's going to emphasize sufficient protein consumption and low carbohydrate consumption. Why is that? Because if you keep the protein high, you're going to protect the muscle. If you keep the carbohydrates low, the only thing left you have to burn is body fat. And when you say you want to lose weight, do you want to lose weight or do you want to lose fat? I think if I could hear all of you, you'd say fat, right? So the best way to do that is keep the carbs low and the protein high. What is a good amount of protein? A good amount of protein, these numbers have changed. It used to be 0.5 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That is just survival, folks. We now know that especially menopause or mid-age for men and women, they've increased that number to a minimum of 100 grams of protein per day. And actually, what they're saying now is to eat your healthy body weight in grams of protein. So if my healthy weight, not what I weigh, but if my healthy body weight is 130 grams of protein, I'm sorry, 130 pounds, I should be eating 130 grams of protein. If you've ever tried to do that, that's really hard to do. So that is going to take some effort. Next, we're going to talk about, maximizing fat reduction by maintaining muscle mass, and also understanding that for those of you who have, and if you have excess fat, you actually are most likely insulin resistant, meaning you make a lot of insulin, and the more insulin you make and the higher your blood sugar is, the harder it is to lose weight. So it cannot be understated that at the base, what this medication does is helps to regulate your blood sugar so you will lose more weight. Having said that, it doesn't start early on. That takes a little bit of time. So you're going to need to give that a little bit of time before that actually happens. Okay, so a few things. GLP medications are a tool. It's not a magic solution. Why I got into this myself is that I was seeing my clients and supporting them who were getting their medications elsewhere. They were going to different places, and then I'd say, well, how's it going? And they'd say, well, it's going really slow. And I'd say, well, how are you eating? And they'd say, well, I mean, I'm just eating. I mean, I'm taking the shot, so I'm just eating. And so I really want you to know that you still have to couple this with eating a good, solid diet. It's and preferably keto leaning, as I mentioned before. And I also want to say, it's the importance of, and I learned this from Dr. Roy, really, is that the importance of going on the lower doses and going low and slow instead of really increasing. And here's the thing, increasing these doses doesn't make you necessarily lose the weight faster. It just amplifies any side effects that you're having. So what I'm seeing, and I think, we've got other clinicians on the line, what we're seeing is when we keep them low and we really address the diet and we're working on, the mental piece of this, that they're not getting side effects. Nobody's feeling terrible, nausea, throwing up all the time. That was the thing. I'd say to people, well, you're losing weight. And they'd say, yeah, well, it's because I'm throwing up all the time, right? I don't think that's what we want to go for. So going low and slow. And then really, I think that's really what's really interesting is people are really focusing now on thinking, am I really hungry? Okay, so there's different kinds of hunger, right? There's hunger in the stomach, where your stomach's growling and making noise even, and it's empty feeling. That's hunger. Then there's that, I call it sort of mental munchies, right? Where you see other people eating or you see something on TV and you go, "Ooh, that looks good. I'm going to go have that." that's not really hunger. And so what I find is really interesting about this medication, as Dr. Roy said, is that not only does it helps lower blood sugar, not only does it slow gastric emptying, but it affects a part of your brain called the amygdala. And the amygdala is the reward center of the brain. It's that place in your brain that says, you've worked really hard today, you should have whatever. I mean, I see some people smiling. Exactly, right? We all do that. Or even I should deserve a glass of wine, right? It's even affecting people. What I'm hearing from a lot of people, it's even affecting their desire, for alcohol or for shopping or the other things because it's affecting that part of the brain. But you got to go into it looking for it. You got to be ready for it because you're going to notice that on the lowest doses if you're paying attention. But if you're waiting for something magical to happen and you just keep increasing doses, as Anna says, like you'll be increasing doses. And what if you get to the end, the highest dose, and you still have weight to lose? No, you want to hit the ground running. You want to start at the lowest dose and you want to start making those changes now. And I think, in fact, it's good to have a little bit of hunger. I have a couple of people who are getting medication elsewhere that I'm working with, and they are what's the word? They have intolerance for food. They don't want to eat anything. And you know what's interesting about that? You think maybe that's good, but no, it's not good because you're not getting enough protein, as Dr. Roy said. But the other part of that is I have a person who says, I have no desire for chicken, but she'll have a donut, right? Because she's not hungry, but that sounds like fun. That sounds like so in a way, she was doing better on the low doses because she was having a little bit of hunger and then she was becoming satisfied with her chicken or her beef or her vegetables or what have you, right? So low and slow, as we said early on, is really the way to go, but really working with a good coach who knows how to help you modulate your calories, looking at your macronutrients, making sure you're getting enough protein. And also helping you think about your thoughts, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to help you at the end of this. So the pitfalls to avoid, because we know that we've seen it. Dr. Roy mentioned the Ozempic face, Ozempic butt. Just Google it. You'll see what that looks like if you don't have a friend who looks like that. First of all, we know you're going to be to the point, not necessarily in the beginning, but you are going to decrease the amount of calories you have in a day. When you decrease calories, you will decrease your nutrients. That is a given. To lose weight, fundamentally, you have to restrict, you have to reduce your calories. So one of the main times that you need to have good supplementation is when you're cutting your calories. And the group of clinicians on the line here, we all work with a company called 3 International, and we use that company because they're third party tested, they're in the PDR. They, in my opinion, there are other good stuff out there, but you need to get a really good quality supplement because you got to make sure that as you're going through this process that you are getting the proper nutrients. And most nutrients that you take over the counter are not absorbable and they pass right through to into the urine. That's why, when you're taking supplements, your urine looks like that highlighter yellow. So, you won't see that if you have a really good supplement. So do that check tomorrow. Feel like it's right, it's yellow. Okay. So the other thing is because you're not hungry, you're not going to want to eat a lot of protein. And that's going to lead to a tendency for muscle loss, which is, as we age, a problem anyway, right? So we're really going to have to prioritize protein. I mentioned it already. We need 100 grams minimum, but really more like your healthy body weight. And so when you're not hungry, what does that look like? That means you got to every snack and every meal, you got to get protein in if you're trying to get even 100 grams of protein, right? So this may mean that you want to find a good quality protein supplement. So you're going to want to talk to your coach about that. Um, And then Dr. Roy and Jen also said weight-bearing exercises and strength training. And I totally agree with Dr. Roy. Minimum, I think, twice a week. And I know what I'm doing in a gym. I've exercised, trained hard my whole life, but I still like to work with someone because they're watching your movements. They're, like we all do it. We cheat a little bit on an exercise when we're tired, and that's where we hurt ourselves. So, besides having a coach that we're meeting a couple times a week is really going to ensure that you're going to be there and that you're going to do this. But the weight-bearing exercise is vital for not just losing weight and maintaining your muscle, not just for increasing bone density, but it is your longevity key. It's what you are going to need if you want to live a long and healthy life and play with your grandkids on the floor and be able to get up and down and be as active as you want to be. It even weight training and strength training even affects cognitive function. So this is for so many reasons something that you want to get in. And then kind of another thing that, we're seeing a lot is when someone loses a significant amount of weight, and by the way, the physicians uh, consider significant being 5 to 10% weight loss in a year. And if you do these medications, what was it, Dr. Roy? I think you said, 15% to 20%, depending. What did you say?
15 to 20 and 20 to 25.
And 20 to 25%. You're right. That is a lot of weight loss in even a year to lose. And so what you can see is, the skin elasticity going and that. So, taking a good source of collagen, plus you need extra protein anyway. So you might as well, get some collagen in there. So, yeah. So those are the main things. The biggest thing that I can tell you is wherever you do this, however you get these medications, work with someone and work with someone also that has the ability, or maybe you have it on your own where you have a scale that is measuring your body composition. Because some weeks I had somebody who okay, it was me actually, where I'm really gonna say I was like, I'm not losing any weight. And so, but I went and I weighed in and I lost like 4 pounds of fat, but I gained 4 pounds of muscle. So, because I've been training. And so there you have it. So sometimes the number on the scale doesn't necessarily mean anything. What you really care about is how much is your fat mass going down. So you want to work with someone who can measure that as well. I think that's all I got.
Awesome, Dr. Zimbardo. Thank you so much. There's so much good information here that we're unpacking tonight. And if I had to just pick out a few highlights, it's yes, your food noise gets diminished. Yes, your hunger will get diminished, but that in and of itself doesn't necessarily mean healthy fat loss. So knowing what to eat, knowing how much to eat, knowing that you need to eat, because if you're not eating, I mean, I know for a lot of people, it's very exciting. Oh, for the first time in my life, I'm not hungry. And so I'm just not going to eat. And then you're going to lose that muscle. You're going to get that haggard look. You're going to lose bone and muscle. And it's not a good recipe for later in life. And then when you come off the meds, yeah, it's going to come roaring back because you've lost your muscle, and muscle's the engine that burns fat. So a lot there. So,
yeah. And Jen, also you'll slow down. That's the other thing that, when you stop eating, you'll slow, you're going to not lose. So you've got to eat. Yeah.
right. Yes. Because the body will be like, what are you
It'll
doing?
be
We got to hold that.
conserving.
So,
Yeah.
so it's not just that you're not hungry. It's not just the slowing of the gastric system, but the beauty of these injections is that lowering of the insulin resistance, the lowering of the blood sugars, and those things might be invisible to you, but know that that is a process that's a big part of what's going on here. So it's not just reducing hunger. And we can help with the gut health and getting the proper nutrients by using good supplementation. And if you can't eat a lot, you can get good protein foods to help you that are shakes or things that are just going to help you, but using a good coach. And one thing my doctor told me, it's a little bit of the osteopenia, nothing to do with GLP-1s, but she's like, get a weighted vest. You know, so I'm out walking the dog all the time. She's like, put on a weighted vest. That's going to help. So a lot of things that you can do to help yourself. So, okay, moving on, we now have Anna Morris, the fabulous Anna Morris. She is an Ideal Protein Clinic owner. Her company is Ideal Change. She's a phenomenal coach. She's been coaching people for many years with lots of success. So we're going to let Anna have the floor. Take it away, Anna.
Thank you, Jen. Well, everyone, I see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a long time, and you know who you are, so it's great to see you on here. And thank you, Dr. Z, and thank you, Dr. Roy. But I got to tell you guys, I am with a group of people that are fantastic. We embraced bringing in the weight loss meds early this year, and really because these things, like Dr. Roy, Dr. Dolores, and Jen have said, they're magical. They're very helpful, done well. And guess what? You guys have already great coaches because we've been doing this before. Like I tell my clients when they come in, they go, what am I go, listen, before we had these meds, how did we do this? We did this with food, right? What has happened and what happens to all of us as you become desensitized, people get tired of dieting, your body resists, our bodies change. They change every 5 years. Your cells are no longer the same. We're in menopause, who knows where we are. So it's a lot of different things hitting you all at one time. So what I tell people is you can't go at this by yourself. Going at this alone is the worst thing, because even when we did Ideal Protein, for those of you who have done Ideal Protein, and I believe all of us here have, you didn't do this by yourself, right? And so we're not really good coaches on our own by ourselves, right? So we need somebody to help us. And one thing for me, bringing these in, life story, the things that I've seen since we started this have been great, just because it helps people stay on a good diet, right? So these GLP-1s are little tools. They're like training wheels on your bicycle, right? So when the little kids are riding little bikes, we put them on there so they can learn to ride their bikes. But then what do? You take them off. You don't see them at 20 years old with the riding, the little wheels. So the goal is we get you going, we teach you, and then we take these wheels off, right? So the goal is while you're on these meds, helping us, taking away the cravings. Some of the big wins that some of my clients have, they're like, they feel free for once. They're like, Anna, that snacking that I would have after dinner and I just had to go to the pantry 3 times. I don't do that anymore. That makes me feel great. Like just one little win. It's not everything. It's one little thing. So it's like Dr. Roy says, when you go to the pantry and you stand there and you're looking and you were like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not even hungry. I'm just standing here looking for something and I'm not hungry. So it's something that resonates with all of us because I know that this is a thing for all of us, right? But one of the things that I see and that if you've been with me, we have these amazing scales, these in-body scales. And I believe all of you have been on these, right? We love them, but we also hate them. But what we love about them, especially with these medications coupled together, you meet our Ideal Protein food. And if you don't want to use our Ideal Protein food, we have other options, but let us help in that way. But what we see and what I've been seeing is super stable lean mass. And what is lean mass? It's everything that's not fat in your body. That includes your bones, your muscle, your water, everything. So if we can keep that lean mass very steady, and guess what you have left to lose? If you're not losing muscle, what's left? Fat, right? So if we eat in a way, like Dolores said, in a way that we can eat more protein, have more veggies, go back to a primal state of eating, right? Because, bread doesn't grow on a tree. And so these things don't occur in nature. So if we can go more to healthy eating and we can help mitigate any type. So if somebody says to me, Anna, I'm just not hungry for chicken, I'm like, no problem. Have a shake. I want you to have 2 meals a day that are 30 grams of protein. They don't have to be chicken and meat. One can be really good whey protein shake. We have great brands. Not all protein is created equal. So that's the other thing. We can't just go buy protein at Costco and other places because a lot of times it says it has these things, but they don't really do. right? So it's really more about what can we work on, having a little toolbox, right? So say, okay, these are the things I love to eat. These are the veggies I like. So these are the things I'm going to go to when I'm not in the mood to have these things, right? And really that helps you be more ready to go, because a lot of people say, well, I'm so busy, I don't have time to cook. And I go, I understand that. But when we finish this and those training wheels come off, you're going to fall off your bike, right? So you don't want to fall off your bike. Some of the things that I see, like Dolores said, if the fat's going down, guess what happens? I have one client, and I have one of many that when I've been doing this, is so much fun. It's kind of like when we did Ideal Protein at the beginning and everybody was just losing weight left and right. And people are like, guess what I'm doing? I'm doing this program. It's amazing. Like, you really need to come do this, right? People are losing. I have a client, hadn't lost weight in forever. We started this. She's lost 18 pounds in 7 weeks, couldn't lose 5 pounds on phase 1. And she wasn't doing it well because she was tired of it. She was hungry. She was kind of not liking the food anymore. She was just kind of like, it's not working. And then what happens when it doesn't work? It's easy to, I had a glass of wine. I had a piece of pizza, because who cares? Like, I'm not losing weight anyway. So what's the point? I'm just going to have fun. So it's given her a new lead. Her clothes fits great. She's like, I keep going in my closet and I have all these sizes. And now I'm wearing stuff that I took all my summer stuff out and I'm actually able to fit into it. And for us, women and men, but most of us here are women, our clothes is really important, because when you go to your closet, you want to be able to pick up something and put it on. So this is what I really work with people in the wins, not just the weight loss, because one thing in expectations, the weight loss doesn't come off like magic. Okay. This is very important, right? I tell people, they go, well, I go, patience. It's like a slow cooker. Okay. You got to turn the thing on and you let it seep. And you have to be patient, because while you're doing this process, you're learning how to be off of them while you're on them, right? The other thing, right, you got to learn, because if you don't learn to be off this meds, guess what's going to happen? You're never going to get off of them, right? And the other thing that we are really good about, Dr. Roy is fantastic. And when we work together with my clients, and we don't raise these doses. My people are on really low doses still, and they've been with me doing this for 4 months now. And we are in a low dose and they're doing great. And she says, if they're doing good, don't change them, leave them there. And you know why I do that? Because you don't want to become desensitized. If you go too high, you will become desensitized. And what happens is you're not losing weight any quicker. Now you're less hungry. And then people are like, I'm so fatigued. I have no energy. And I go, but you're not eating food. So if you're only eating 100 calories a day, how much energy can somebody have? These meds also tend to dehydrate. So you have to be really good about your water. Electrolytes are a key. And if you are one of my clients, you know about electrolytes because I have taught you. We also have BCAA, so we have amino acids. There's a lot of things that it's like a little package. Everything, it fits in a little bucket so that it all goes smoothly. Because at the end, this body that you're giving me, I want to make it even better when we're done with it, right? Supplementation is key. So Dolores touched base a little bit. We love these supplements. And if you haven't tried them, and if you ever do, you're going to be addicted. I'm going to tell you. Because the one thing about these supplements is that in this little packet, everything you need is in this little packet. It's like 10 bottles and 5 tablets. Okay. These have your B's, all your A's. It's got probiotics, it's got enzymes, it's got omega-3s, it's got D3, it's got spirulina, which is like green vegetable powder. It's got a blend of different type of minerals. So it's got everything you need without having like 10 bottles and you go, okay, which one? I got to carry all my, no, you take these, you open the little packet, you take it on an empty stomach. You can take it during the day. I tell people take it before 4 p.m. because it gives you a boost of energy. And then people are like, oh my gosh, I'm like ready to go and there's nowhere to go. So you really want to supplement really well, because supplementation with these is key. If not, your cells who are doing all the work are dying and you don't want dead cells. So the other thing is that we do really well, at least with me, is we meet weekly. The medications are done weekly. These are weekly shots. So for those of you who have never done these things, they are weekly. They're done weekly. Why are they done weekly? Because they wear off. Right? So by the time, let's say we do them on Thursday, by the time Tuesday comes, you go, I feel like little food chatter coming back, right? So, but Thursday's coming and then we get the shot on Thursday and it goes away. right? But your body uses them up, right? They're not, you use them up, right? It's like a little thing. So we're trying to keep that food chatter. Meanwhile, you're learning to eat the food really well, right? So those are the things that I really tell people, that the strength training, basic things, guys. It's not like you're working out, like, pumping iron. No, you don't have to do all that. 3 days a week, 20 minutes each day. I give you a little routine. If you don't have one, there's many apps. We help you figure it out. One day it's upper body, one day it's lower body, the other day it's full body, and you do some abs, nothing crazy, but you want to promote strength training because bone density is dependent on muscle strength. If your muscles are weak, your bones are weak, right? So you really want to strengthen the outside so that the inside can be stronger, right? And in regards to side effects, the main things that we see that I've noticed is nausea. And nausea comes from not drinking enough water, right? Or you eat beyond your limit. So with these meds, by the time, let's say you could do a burger before, you won't be able to eat this burger, but you will try. And when you try to eat your burger, once you get past the halfway point, you start noticing you're really full. You will notice it later. You're like, oh my gosh, I feel like you're not going to throw up, but you just feel nauseous. And then I always tell people that's because you ate too much. You need to start thinking about backing off and just rethinking that. Also, drinking fluids with food, you don't want to do that because you will fill up with water and you can't eat your food, right? So it's really little tricks and suggestions that I help people with because I have had, just like Dolores and Dr. Roy and Jen, we've had people doing this with their doctors and they go, my doctor never told me that. Like I've been feeling terrible for like 3 months. And nobody told me that I should drink cold water, that I should be well hydrated, that I should do electrolytes. Nobody told me, right? So these are things that nobody's told you, kind of what our webinar is, that we're telling you so that we can help you mitigate these things and relieve them. Fatigue, nausea, really constipation. But if you've done ideal protein, we know these things, but we have, we can do magnesium. There's a lot of things we can fix for you. So it's really more about the whole package and what I feel comfortable. And the reason I brought these into my clinic is because I knew that I would do a really, really, really good job of taking care of you guys, right? That we are going to really make sure that everything is going really well and that kind of holding your hand until you get off the training wheels and then you go, right? And so that's the concept of this. One of the things Dr. Roy and we had a little meeting the other day is that these are shots. You got to put the shot in your fat part of your tummy. Usually we do it in the belly. And they're really tiny needles. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Okay. But for those of you who have a phobia and like, oh my God, we'll figure that out. Don't let that be something that can discourage you. But there's also some, Dr. Roy, there's also tablet forms. They're not as effective, but those can be something that we can use for maintenance, right? So once we finish this, you don't have to do the shots forever, but you can do maintenance in there sublingual. So so something else so in your mind, that there's things that can help you moving forward. Because if you've had a weight problem all your life and food has always been an issue for you, most likely it's going to be an issue always, but it's something that you have to live with, it's like the enemy, but you have to live with the enemy. Think of it that way. Like it's something that you need to live, but it's really hard for you to live with it, right? So we have to figure out how to do it together. And I think, the other thing, last and but not least, but we want to create a routine and mindset. So journaling, for those of you that can journal, but also meal planning, because meal planning is so important, And the other thing is really stacking good habits. You want to stack habits, right? We're stacking little habits. Like I go for a walk in the mornings, like it's beautiful. We should go for walks, right? So doing little things that you can start building good habits. And that's really what we call habit stacking, because those are the things that are going to save you down the road, right? So those are really, for me as a coach, the things that the lessons that I teach my clients, the life lessons. Like I said, people are losing weight, of course. Is it going like super fast, 20 pounds in a week, in a month? No, but it is a slow burn. And it's good because you're learning while you're losing. And we're not like, oh my God, now I lost 20 pounds. Great, I'm done. Thank you, Anna. Goodbye. No, it doesn't work that way. It's a very slow process. So I want you just to really urinate that. And it's very affordable. So, price-wise, we'll talk about it when you guys come see me. So whoever is interested, really reach out to us because we'll give you the details on how to work this out. And you will meet with Dr. Roy. She is our doctor. So now that you see her here. So that's it for me. And if you have any questions, we can at the end just, Jen will open up the Q&A. But I'm so thankful that you guys are here, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, Anna, that was fabulous. Thank you. So I hope you all are hearing that all that is involved in this, and it's not just ordering it off the internet from some unknown source who says, "Here's your stuff. Good luck. Tell me when you need your next dose." There's so much more to be effective and do this right. And everything that we've done as professionals on this call is carefully curated from the foods that you eat, from the macros that we give you, from the body composition, from the supplements that are very curated. We have two of them. The one that Anna was mentioning, Vitalite, upregulates the GLP-1. Actually, the supplement helps. And the other one is our Revive, which is our anti-inflammatory. Both of those scientifically proven to help upregulate your GLP-1. So another tool just to give you that extra. If you're having gut issues, we can help you with that. We've got supplementation for that. Some people, when they start to lose fat, they might experience a little bit of hair loss. Sometimes that's just from the toxins and the fats being released out of your fat. When the fat is being released out of your body, the hormones get a little mixed up and you might have a little hair loss. So we've got the collagen to help with hair. And so we have all the tools. We have everything put together for you to help you be as successful as possible. So I have one question that was put in the chat that I'm going to throw out there. And I think either Dr. Zimbardo or Anna could probably answer this one. And it's from Carmen. What is the difference between the body's reactions equations with the GLP-1 analog and being in ketosis with a program like Ideal Protein?
I didn't see that question. So, well,
she just sent it to me, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, what is the biggest difference is, being on Ideal Protein, you are on a ketogenic diet. And Anna, you can jump in here too, and Dr. Roy also, because Dr. Roy is very familiar with she knows Ideal Protein too. So it's a great ketogenic diet. To me, the difference of using the GLPs is it makes it easier to do it because suddenly you're not hungry. It just makes it easier for you to do the thing you need to do, right? You're not hungry.
It just makes it so you're not white knuckling your way through the whole program.
Exactly. It's right. Mm-hmm. And you get full faster.
It's a tool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's a tool. So I always tell my patients, don't use it as a crutch, and don't think that you can just continue eating the way that you're eating. It's a tool to help you build better habits.
Yeah. Right. And I think also when you're doing Ideal Protein, one of the things that works really well and that I've been working with clients sometimes, because with these GLP-1s, you're not hungry. You're just not hungry in the morning, but we do some fasting. The Ideal Protein works efficiently because the foods are small. I mean, our foods are not big, but they're powerful. Like they're powerful little things, all this protein in this little packet. So it's easy to eat without necessarily having a big meal. So I find it easy, but also ketones protect you. Ketones they're like little protectors, the little angels. They're protecting your muscles. They're really helping, keeping the energy up. They're really doing the job that you need to do. And on the GLPs, so much easier to do, right? So, eating windows are really important. Fasting windows are really important. And I feel that there's a lot of data that works really well. So with our protocol, super easy. And even if you weren't doing a straight phase 1 and you were doing an alternate phase 1, you were doing like a fruit a day, you're keeping the carbs maybe at 30 grams.
Hybrid, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a hybrid plan so that you can work out more and you have more energy and it's more sustainable, still works just as efficiently. I mean, I don't see it being that much of a difference. So I think it's
and I think the other thing too, when you look at the data, is that on the low doses, like that first month, the weight loss, I think, it's usually a lot slower, I would say, unless you're eating ketogenically or following phase 1, it's just, if anyone's hungry doing phase 1, it's usually because they're deviating. They're not doing it right. Right. And that's the biggest thing. People know how to do it, but it's hard sometimes to do. And I think the medication just makes it easy to do because you're not really hungry.
Right.
Yeah, so we had another question. Is this a prescription for my primary care? How do I get it? How much do I have to wait to get a prescription? So yes, it is a prescription. Yes, you will need to see a doctor. It's very difficult, and I think Dr. Roy can weigh in here, very difficult to get insurance to cover it. The beauty of working with outside of that is that we have a lot more flexibility. Dr. Roy, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah. So up until December 31st, 2024, they were in different insurance companies. They were very lax about it. But because everything was hitting the news and people were trying to really get a hold of this medication, the majority of the insurance companies changed up their formulary January 1. So where I used to be able to get it covered under insurance. Now, when I say covered under insurance, it's not completely covered. There were still some patients that came back as $800 a month. But to get it covered under insurance, it was much easier last year. This year, they're denying pretty much everybody. Like you have to know somebody in your insurance company, essentially. It's very hard.
Yeah. So
Or
we're,
you have to be a diabetic or
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Or you
high
have to be
diabetic.
diabetic. Yes,
Right.
they have for the weight loss piece.
yeah, for weight loss. Yeah.
Yeah, for Wegovy and Zepbound, because they won't let me write for Ozempic and Manjaro, and they ask for a hemoglobin A1C. So they ask for proof that the patient is diabetic before they approve it.
Right.
So
And
what we're able to do is with working with Dr. Roy, we can, it's not going through insurance. So there's a lot more flexibility for getting the medication for people. And there was a question about who gives the injections. Pretty much you self-inject. And I'm just going to tell you, it's easy. Teeny tiny needles can be taught how to do it very easily. So don't let that freak you out because it's really not that big a deal unless you
yeah,
have a
everybody's
complete
been good with it.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are,
Kind of squeamish. And
Yeah.
we show you and there's a video, it's very easy. And once you do it once or twice, and also because sometimes if you have to travel, you have to leave, you got to learn how to do it because who's going to do it for you, right? It's very simple. And the other thing I was going to touch base back on the, with doing it without the insurance allows us one thing. It allows us to manage your dosage. It's very different when you do it with insurance. Insurances don't do that. They don't play the game of like, oh, you want to stay at 0.5, 0.25, just stay there. I
And
don't
they
think,
won't allow you to.
right?
they only pay if you go up and up.
They
And
pay for 4 doses of
Right.
each dose.
So
yeah.
by the time you're on month 4, you're
And
over.
that's one of the reasons why people have the extreme side effects because so many times they don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need to go up. And with the way that we're doing it, Dr. Roy, you can chime in and make sure I'm saying this, but you can even do, instead of doubling the dose, you could just do a little bit more, half the dose. Or if someone's having a reaction, you can just lower the dose. I mean, when you have the pen that you only have one,
You get the entire pen.
you get the whole pen
There
and
is no
one shot,
controlling
and
it.
that's it. Yeah. And some people need, like half the dose more frequently or the whole dose but less frequently. So I mean,
Yeah.
it just takes a lot of it just
Yeah,
allows us to tailor it.
So it's almost like concierge, we're able to
Right.
fine tune things. And the question was, how much do you have to weigh to be approved to get it I guess, through insurance?
I don't know. It's not weight derivative, right, Dr.
I think it's weight, but you have to have a weight plus a comorbidity. Like,
Yeah, if it's through insurance, it's a BMI of greater than 27, which with a comorbidity, or a BMI of greater than 30 without a comorbidity.
Okay. And is there any weight that you need to not put it through insurance? In other words, is there a minimum weight?
If you were to pay cash, I'm assuming, Again, it depends on, remember that BMI chart that I put out there. If you are, like, for myself, 24.7 is my BMI this morning. I'm considered to be overweight. So there's a lot of things that come into consideration. Your lab work comes into consideration. We've actually found quite a few people that are insulin resistant. So they're really going to benefit from this.
Yeah, because even at lower
Yeah.
overweight, you could be insulin resistant.
Lower overweight, you can still be insulin resistant, and those problems are just around the corner.
Yeah, it's like what you said, the skinny fat, right?
Yeah, because remember, fat weighs less than muscle.
Correct.
So
It's
you
volume.
could be, you could be 140 pounds of fat and have a BMI of 23, but that's not healthy.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing,
BMI is not a great measure.
No, it's horrible. It's
No.
terrible.
For body fat percentage.
It
if we
doesn't
don't
give
go
you a
through
good
insurance, so guys, in this case, we don't go through insurance. So I think the backup, this next follow-up was not through insurance. So if you don't, if you were gonna do it like with us, we're not gonna put it through insurance. So if you are dealing with 15 pounds, 60 pounds, it doesn't matter the pounds, but you're like, look, I have done everything. I don't know what else to do at this point. It doesn't matter. It's not about it really, from the majority, Dr. Roy, you can interrupt me, but most people qualify because 10 pounds to somebody might be, it's like 30. It's the idea of not fitting in your clothes or fitting in your clothes. So it's not about weight. It's really about, what do you want? How do you see this for yourself? Dr. Roy does the consultation. She asks you questions and we go from there. So insurance is of no consequence to us. We don't really talk to them. We don't care what they do. So
I think around this is if somebody has been 120 pounds their entire life and now they're 135, that's going to feel uncomfortable for them. It really is. Nothing's going to fit. Everything's going to be tight. They're going to feel bad about themselves. They're going to end up having mood disorders. They're going to have other issues. So if taking that back down to the 120 is going to alleviate all those other things, why not do it?
Dr. Roy, and also another thing is perimenopausal, menopausal women, insulin resistance is a real thing. It's insulin resistance. You don't have to be, you can be at any weight, but those type of conditions, perimenopausal, menopausal, you can become insulin resistant. So what used to be really easy becomes really difficult. What you used to not gain weight, and now even if you don't eat food, you still gain 10 pounds. So that's really where I think I really, when my clients call me, I go, I understand, I get it. Because it's not about that. It's where is this going to go? I mean, if I don't do something now, where am I going to be in a year? Right.
Well,
So
I was just going to say the other issue is when you're perimenopausal or andropausal, because men do go through something very similar. That weight is coming around the abdominal area. So when you start looking at waist to hip ratios, when those numbers start to go up, you're at a higher likelihood of developing diabetes, developing heart disease. So why wait until it happens?
absolutely.
We need to change it. We need to prevent. We need to have more of a preventative mindset rather than reactive.
Yeah, and there's also so many other incredible benefits to the GLPs. One last question, and then we will let everybody go. So the question is it brand name or compounded semaglutide that's provided? And Dr. Roy, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. It is compounded semaglutide. The difference is that the compounded semaglutide has a sodium attached to it. So what happened was when Novo Nordisk was doing their research for Ozempic and Wegovy, they were using the compound semaglutide that did not have a sodium attached to it. So that semaglutide is in limited supply, but that is the only semaglutide that they're allowed to use because that's what their research was done using. There is semaglutide with sodium attached, and there's an overabundance of this stuff, but Novo Nordisk cannot use it. So the compounding pharmacies are actually using the salted form But what ends up happening, this is a lot of physiology and, pharmacokinetics, but the salt is removed and you're left with the semaglutide. So the function and the mechanism of action is the same.
Well, and
Correct.
technically, you could prescribe the brand names, but you're going to pay a lot more for it, right?
Right. Yeah. You're
Yeah,
paying for the
because
delivery
insurance isn't
device.
going to pay for it. So, yeah. Well, everybody, this was phenomenal. I learn so much every time we do these, and I'm sure everybody else does. So I want to thank you for being here, for giving us your time, for the valuable questions and answers. And I just want to remind everyone, go back to who invited you for more information. And we will be sending out the recording, so you can look for that. And other than that, I just want to say thank you and have a wonderful night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. It's great to have you. We're going to do these again, so be on the lookout. And
Yep.
we'll probably do something different that, maybe a menopause, perimenopausal. That will
That's a
draw a
good
lot of
one.
people.
Gotta
So,
go there. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't let the men out.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put something for the guys.
All
Guys, have a
right.
great night. Take care. Okay,
Okay.
we'll follow
Right.
up.
Bye,
Bye-bye. Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you.